Hello, everyone. My name is John Cottrell, and this is Soft Flow. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. And so in this practice, we're going to focus on hips. I like doing hip openers, and so I have some postures that will really just help to release and open up kind of in the lower back, your hips, and your inner thighs. So for our practice in regards to our props, we always like to use props in our soft flow practice. So you may want to have a blanket, something soft to sit on and kneel on, something that you can fold right there. And if you happen to have them, some yoga blocks, a couple would be great if you happen to have them. If you don't, you can just use some hardback books or even some soft like sofa pillows. And then, if you like, just an option as well is to have a bolster or just a firm pillow or cushion. This is just always nice for your shavasana practice, or just a way that you can continue to support your body while you're in some poses, particularly in reclining or restorative positions. So for our soft flow practice, as always, we like to begin in sitting. So I invite you to take a comfortable seat on your mat and feel free to sit on your cushion or your folded blanket. I like to cross my legs. This is comfortable for me, but if it's more comfortable for you to extend your legs or even just one leg, or even sitting up against a wall or in a chair for this first portion of your practice, feel free to do so. We like to take the time to find stillness, generate breath and energy in the body, and really come to this moment to be fully aware and connected. So you might start with a few deep breaths in and out. You might breathe in fully through your nose. You can exhale through your nose or through your mouth. You might even feel your shoulders relax. Even a gentle circle might be nice. Just checking in to see if there's any tension in your body that's noticeable. And maybe throughout your practice, you're able to release some of that tension. So again, back to breath, a nice full breath in. And as you're able, filling up your lungs, you want to feel like your breath is rising upward. Feel that nice expansion across the chest. And once again, that exhale, a nice release and settling in. We're just going to keep adding a little bit more sensation as we breathe, helping us to be a bit more aware and preparing for our moving practice. As you inhale, you might sit up a little taller, lengthen spine, again, feeling breath rising to fill up your lungs. Then as you exhale, you want to feel your engagement in your core, your center. And then what it is, it's a light contraction of your abdominal muscles. So feel like your belly button is pulling in towards your spine. It doesn't have to be too forceful, just a gentle pull and awareness of your center. Inhale, lengthening through spine, fill up your lungs. Exhale, navel to spine, engaging what we call the abdominal lock. And just do that a few more times so you can just get accustomed to this feeling and this sensation. You can keep your eyes open if you'd like, or you can close them. Slow, deep breaths. Our breathing meditation. Being more mindful and aware. Letting the things that are going on outside of you to stay on the outside so you can pay close attention to what's going on inside of you. Go ahead and take 3 more slow breaths, just like that. You might even notice the feeling of your breath as it moves through your body, even the sound of your breath. And after that last breath, we'll just start adding movement, a very simple movement. I like to call this our moving meditation. So when you're ready, we'll inhale and extend your arms out across the room, then all the way up towards the ceiling, and really reach like you're stretching. Then exhale, you're going to extend your arms out with effort, as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you, and let your arms come back down by your side. Another full breath in, reaching out with effort, and all the way up, energy through your hands and fingertips, and exhale. Just continue to breathe on your own and move on your own. I'll just continue to provide some instruction and things you can be aware of. As you inhale, you want to reach high, feel the energy in your arms, even a lengthening through the sides of your body. As you bring the arms back down and exhaling, you're still connecting to your core, your center. So don't forget to draw navel inward towards your spine. As you reach up, feel like you're going to just rise right out of your seat. And exhaling. Let's do that a few more times. How about 3 more breaths like this? Going at your own pace, you want to feel like the breath is moving you. The breath is moving you. And when you're complete, you can just let your arms rest down by your side or in your lap. Let your arms, your shoulders relax as they complete their motion. Take another deep breath or two. While still in seated, just bring your hands behind you. Just lean back into your palms or fingertips. And as you bring the arms back, you also want to feel your shoulders gently pull back, not too forcefully. So you can just feel this nice opening and expansion through the chest. Even tip your chin up a little bit. We're creating a mild back bend. We're also creating a little bit more space in the upper chest region. Then as we inhale, we're going to press into the ground with the hands or fingertips. Feel the breath rising to fill up your lungs. Because you made that space, you might feel this a bit more. Then exhale, draw navel inward towards your spine. And as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. So again, breathing in, breath rising, fill up your lungs. That stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. Exhaling, navel to spine, and engaging your shoulders, pulling them back. And as we do this, all this energy generating in your body, pressing into the ground, strong straight arms, shoulders rolled back, squeezing shoulder blades together, breath rising, filling up your lungs, and of course, navel to spine. 2 more breaths. Feel that energy. Feel the warmth also in your body. And after your second breath, just lower your chin, looking forward, and just walk your hands towards yourself. And you just, again, bring your arms in front, hands resting in your lap. And once again, just let your body relax, taking a breath or two. From here, we'll take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed, let's uncross them and create bound angle pose. Sometimes we call it cobbler's pose. But bound angle is just the soles of your feet touching here with the knees bent, and they're just kind of opened out to the side. This is where your pillows or blocks can come in handy, just so that because your legs might not touch the ground. I don't expect your legs to touch the ground. So you just tuck something underneath them so they're resting on your prop there. And if you've got the heels in pretty close, but it feels kind of tight in the knees, feel free to send the feet forward just to take some of that pressure off the knees if you need that. That's perfectly fine. And then just hold on to your shins or ankles or feet. We're going to inhale and just sit up a little taller. Feel the effort of lengthening through spine. Exhale, pull belly in and start to hinge forward just a tiny bit, leading with your heart and your chin. So a slight angle in the upper body. If you can see me, I didn't move downward that far at all. Another breath in, nice extension through spine. Exhale, folding. Let's pause here, even if you haven't gone too deep. Just hold so you can just breathe and just be aware of these new sensations, even though they might be subtle. I just want to point out something too, because I'm still sitting on my blanket, but I'm more on the edge of my blanket. And that's actually what it does for me, at least. It actually, because I'm on the edge, it just tilts my pelvis just enough so that I can maintain a well-extended spine and hinge forward. So you can sit right up on top of a blanket or more towards the edge if you need that slight tilt in your pelvis. Sometimes we get a little trapped in our low backs when we're seated like this, and that can help free up the low back. All right, you can stay just like this or fold a little bit deeper. So like I said, we'll be working with hip openers, and so this is a great initiation into that sensation. Feel free to round your back or even just lower your chin a little bit, changing or allowing new feelings to arrive in your body. Maybe a rounded back creates a little stretch through your back. And if your back is rounded, go ahead and take a couple of breaths where you can feel like you're expanding your back body. Just as when we breathe in and fill up our lungs and feel the chest expand in a forward fold position, you can kind of do the same thing and feel your back expand. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths and we'll come out of this pose. If your back did round and your chin lower, just lift your chin, look forward out in front of you a little bit. That will start that re-extension of your spine. If you'd like, use your hands pressing into the ground to help lift yourself up until you're nice and tall in your seat. And just arrive here. Take a breath or two. And we'll move the pillows or blocks out of the way. And then we're going to carefully bring the legs behind us, coming to a kneeling position. So whatever safe movement works for you to arrive in that posture, go ahead and do so. You might even use a blanket for this next posture because we're going to be on our hands and knees for a moment. So that's just here to protect the knees and your wrists. And once you arrive, we'll inhale, looking up or forward, a slight arch in the back, creating a bit of a back bend, and exhale, we'll round it all out. Tucking chin towards chest, belly button up towards spine. And these could be mild movements. Inhale, look forward, a gentle tilt of the pelvis back, and the belly might drop a little bit. That's cow pose. Exhaling, rounding it out into cat pose. So we get that curvature in the spine. Just continue on your own, again at your own pace, moving with your breath, keeping it mild, not forcing your body. Just enough so you can feel some sensation. Letting the breath move you. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths. After that second breath, we're going to remain on our hands and knees for a moment. But if you need to rest, you can always sit back to relax your wrists. But we're going to stay in this posture so that you can add any other movement in the body. I'll just give you some examples. So you might want to circle your hips while you're on hands and knees, maybe just a circle of the hips, going clockwise and then counterclockwise. If the wrists are a little tired here, you can even come down to your elbows and still just move your hips. You can sit back into child's pose. Something that I like to do in this position is actually just laterally move the hips side to side, just in whole, like I'm moving my hip to the left side, which kind of gets into that outer hip a little bit and down the leg. And some breaths there, and then I'll take it to the other side. You can even do a twist. If you're familiar with thread the needle, you can do that as a little bit of a twist. So something like this. Just another way to move along the spine. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths wherever you are. And then we'll arrive and pause in our tabletop position. And if you are using a blanket for some padding, go ahead and crawl off the blanket. We'll set it to the side. Come back to hands and knees. We'll get set up for our next pose. Just downward facing dog. So here, your hands might be directly underneath your shoulders. To set up, go ahead and step your hands forward so your wrists are no longer underneath your shoulders. And as you step your hands forward, spread out your fingers pretty wide. It's a nice stretch for your palm right there. And even lean into your hands to even stretch the palms open a bit more. And as you press, you'll feel energy in your arms. Keep that activation. Tuck your toes. We'll do another quick cat and cow. So first an inhale to cow, that's the back bend. Exhale into cat, rounding the spine. Hold that sensation for a second as you then lift your knees and hips up into the air, taking you to downward facing dog. Arriving, one breath, and then look at the space between your hands. We're going to take a walk up towards the hands, even just to the center of your mat is fine, just to a place where your feet feel flat and you're initially in a deep forward fold. We're going to inhale and slide hands up to the knees or thighs to extend spine right here, and exhale to hold. So stay here in half forward fold. Sometimes we call it monkey pose. It resembles just a table, so your torso is parallel to the ground. Lean forward just a little bit until you have to grip your mat with your toes. By doing that, it just activates the backs of the legs here. So hamstrings, that's where I really feel that. And even feel like your crown or the top of your head is leading you forward, while your hips feel like they're taking you backward. And then to stand up tall, shift your weight back into your heels completely. Bend your knees, let your hips drop. You can sort of lift the upper body, even take your arms out to the side, then stand up all the way. Reach up into the air. Big stretch here at the top. As you exhale, bring your arms out to the side and down by your side right here. Very nice. Good. Take a moment just to roll your shoulders. We'll roll the shoulders back a few times and then forward. You can do them together or one at a time. If you have a little stiffness in the neck, you might just want to take your ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. You can even hold that if you want. Just get a little lengthening down to the side of the neck. And then nod. Just look down and then forward. You don't have to look up. That's a different sensation on the spine. And this is a little bit safer just by looking down and up or forward. And then just a gentle turn of head left and right. And they don't have to be directly left and right, just at an angle left and right. You might just even feel that natural stop in the neck. And then come back to center. Let's go back to our half salute, just getting some more movement in the body. Here we go. We'll inhale, reach all the way up, get tall, reach high, big stretch. Exhale, we're going to spread the wings. That's arms out to the side. Bend your knees. Feel like you're sitting back into an imaginary chair as you carefully and slowly fold, maybe touching your toes, but you don't have to. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or your thighs to extend your spine, get long. Then exhale, fold a little bit, just coming down, maybe just to your ankles. Pause for a second right there. And then again, just shift your weight back towards your heels, bend your knees, lift your torso, look forward. Take your arms out to the side, stand up all the way, reach into the sky. Another big stretch. Exhale, arms down by your side. Right there. Good. Just pause, just hold in stillness for a moment and be mindful of your breathing. Very nice. So remain at the top of your mat. We're going to go through that sequence we've been doing the last few weeks, just that modified movement into warrior one. So first, just again, standing tall, shoulders naturally rolled back, neck is long looking forward. Put a little softness in your knees, and then start shifting weight into your right foot. Really root down into the ground with your right foot so you feel strong and energized there. With the left foot, we're just going to drag it back or slide it back slowly until it starts to lift away from the ground. And once it's lifted, just step back. Turn the left foot out to the side a little bit. It'll be at an angle, and just step back. So we have some distance between the feet, but not too far. Then place hands on hips. Push pelvis down, and then feel tall up top, and then turn torso so you can face directly forward. Hopefully you're able to do that because we haven't put too much distance between the feet. And hopefully that doesn't put any pressure at all in the low back. We'll finish by taking a breath in and extending the arms up into the air. Hold here. Now you can keep the arms straight. You can even bend elbow, something like this. If it feels a little awkward or the shoulders are a little stiff, just bend your elbows. And then we're going to hinge forward just a little bit, put some weight forward into that front foot, and maybe with an exhale, just step forward so the feet are together again. Stand up tall, both arms up into the air, reach and stretch. Exhale, arms down by your side. So that's our variation, our modification of just stepping into a warrior one modified position. Keep that softness in your knees as we now begin the other side. Shifting weight into left foot, press firmly into the ground. Nice strong connection. Don't forget to engage your core here too. Slide that right foot back slowly. Take your time until it lifts up off the ground and then step back. Turn right foot out at an angle. It's very natural there. Place hands on hips, push pelvis down, get even taller, and then turn. You're actually turning your hips. Okay, so you're facing directly forward. And as far as the alignment of the hips, they may feel like they're reaching or pointing directly to the left and right sides of the room. That's ideal, especially since there isn't much distance between the feet. Then we'll inhale, take the arms up into the air. Exhale, hold. Now you can keep the arms straight or bend elbows, you choose. Couple more breaths here. Really feel that good connection to the ground with both feet. Feel the energy in your legs. Then we'll hinge forward a little bit. Start shifting the weight into left foot. With an exhale, step forward with the right foot so the feet are together. Stand up straight and tall, arms all the way up. And then exhale, arms down by your side. Hold here, let everything soften. Very good. Now we'll go through our sun salute, and I'll break it down. Here we go. We're going to inhale, take the arms all the way up. As you exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, and sit back and down into that imaginary chair, slowly folding, maybe just touching your shins or ankles. We'll inhale, slide hands up to knees or thighs, extending spine. As we exhale, slowly fold, bend the knees more, let your back round, enough until you can bring your hands to the mat. And then we'll step both feet back. Take your time, as many steps as you need to step back into plank pose or high push-up position. So you have a straight line in the body. You can even bring knees to the floor for this. We're going to breathe in right here. As you exhale, pull belly in, bend your knees slightly, and then send your hips up into the air. And this is our downward facing dog. Feel free to make any adjustments with the feet. I typically step forward a little bit and even take the feet a little wider. Make sure your hands are pushing strongly into the ground. You can even spread out your fingers there so you have a good base in the hands. Hold for another breath. From here, we're going to inhale, extend right leg up behind you. Reach back for the wall. As you exhale, bend this right knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chin or chest, shifting your upper body forward until your shoulders are over the wrists. And then just set your toes down, that right foot down onto the mat. And then set your left knee down onto the mat. Reach back with your right hand and literally pick up your right foot and step it up a little higher on your mat. Then we'll re-lift that left knee. You can always already see that you've created more distance between your feet, but there's probably more weight in your hands. So we need to remove that or shift that. So pull your hips back towards the back end of your mat. That should lighten up your hands so you can easily rise to your fingertips, lifting slightly to extend your spine. Now bring both hands up to your thigh, this front leg. Push into that leg so you can lift up to about 45 degrees to feel this extended spine. Feel your left heel, the leg behind you, your left heel kind of press back and slightly down to kind of anchor you in this lunging position. Long torso. Okay. Then we'll take the arms out and up into the air. And that's going to bring you perpendicular to the ground. Hold here for a couple breaths. You might even lunge a little deeper. This is a little different from the warrior one position. One, the stance is wider, and two, that left heel is lifted, so everything's facing forward. Okay, we're going to inhale, lift up a bit, exhale, pivot or turn left heel to the floor. You'll turn sideways, and then bring your arms down to parallel, so that gives us a nice transition to warrior two. You should easily arrive here because we did all the setup earlier. So here you should be rightly centered. Let's take side angle pose. So you're going to reach out with the right hand and arm, angled upper body, then rotate your arm. So your right hand comes down and left hand reaches up into the air. We're going to hold here for several breaths. This is one of my favorite poses because it does so much. It opens up the legs here. It strengthens the legs, especially this front leg. At this angled position, we're engaging the core And with this left arm extended, either straight up or even over your head, we get a side body stretch. So many things are happening at once. Okay, we're going to breathe in. Then we'll exhale and slowly turn towards the floor, bend, and bring palms to the ground. Once the hands are planted, lift that left heel behind you. So we're in that runner's lunge again. Press firmly into the ground with your hands. Feel the energy in your arms so you can slide this right foot back into plank pose. Bend the knees slightly, send hips into the air, returning to downward facing dog. Let's do the exact same thing other side. When you're ready, inhale, extend left leg up. Just reach back. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin, shifting your body weight forward, shoulders over wrist, and the left foot just set it down on the ground. Then the right knee onto the ground. Let's go get that left foot, pick it up, place it up higher, replant the hands, and relift the right knee. If the weight is forward, pull hips back, getting the weight away from the hands so you can easily get to fingertips, lifting upper body. We'll lift higher, but first bring hands to thigh, pushing to help assist that lift to this 45-degree angle. Since a lot of energy is coming forward because of the angled upper body, we put energy in that back leg by pushing the right heel back. It kind of sits us into this nice pocket. So this is really the setup, both for the two lunges, high lunge and then warrior two. Let's take the arms out and up into the air, reach high, and then as you're able, lunge low. Hold for a second. Now, if you feel like you're going to lose your balance, which is perfectly fine and natural, you might even squeeze your inner thighs towards each other, giving you a little energy and strength in the legs, and that can even help you to stabilize. We're going to inhale, lift a little, pivot right heel to the floor so you can turn sideways, bring your arms down to parallel. While you're here, just check in with your alignment. Be sure your left knee and toes in front are pointing directly forward. And again, you may have arrived very easily into this warrior two position. And then side angle, reaching out over the left thigh, rotate your arms. The left hand or your forearm might just come to this left inner thigh. You don't have to go much lower than that. Good energy in this right arm, reaching up into the air. Check in with all these great sensations. This is one thing I really enjoy about yoga. You can be in one pose, but be doing so many things at the same time, or so many things are happening at the same time. Some other poses that we do today will also feature that. Okay, let's breathe in. Exhale, we're carefully turning towards the floor. Okay, fold slowly, bring your palms to the ground. Rise up onto the tiptoes behind you. Return to this high lunge. Your runner's lunge. Press palms into the ground. Slide left foot back. Plank pose. We like to hold for a bit of strength here. And just from here, we'll just bring the knees to the ground. We'll take a rest. We'll sit back briefly in hero, but we're going to get right out of that. Just sit on your mat. Let's swing the legs around to the front. Sit in the center of your mat. We're going to lie down. We're going to do some poses lying down. All right, I'm just adjusting my mat. Feel free to use any cushioning, a pillow, or a blanket or anything if you need it. But go ahead and meet me here on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Just take a moment, just pause, take a breath or two, deep breaths, so you can feel the body soften because you've been standing, lots of engaging in the body. So a nice opportunity to just take a little break, check in. I'm going to start with bridge pose. Now this could be a supported bridge pose. So if your blocks are nearby, grab those. Okay. With a good exhale, press feet into the ground so you can lift your hips and slide your blocks underneath you. If you got two blocks, that will certainly lift you a little higher. Okay. And then just settle in. You can even use a big pillow or a cushion. I'm just going to hold here for several breaths. As you're able, taking nice expansive breaths with the intention of just feeling spaciousness through the whole front side of your body. Since we're kind of mimicking a back bend, we really do bring some awareness to the front side of the body. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths here. When you're ready, no rush, and when you do move, take your time. Press feet into the ground, energize the legs so you can lift your hips to remove your blocks and then come back down to the ground. We're going to stay here. We're going to add another hip opener. So first, we're going to cross this left leg, really the left ankle over right thigh. You're just crossing your leg, like if you're sitting in a chair and you happen to cross your leg. So like that. So crossing left ankle over right thigh. And as you're able, the left knee, as best as it can, is pointing out off to the left side of the room. You don't have to force that at all, but you can feel that it's okay, it's pointing generally in that direction. Okay. Now hold here for a moment because we're going to check in to see if there's any sensation. Because with the leg cross, you might feel like, oh, I feel that in my hips. Okay. But if you're not feeling anything and you feel pretty relaxed here, let's add on to this. We're going to do we're going to do eye of the needle pose, eye of the needle. So basically just pick up your right foot. It draws both legs toward your chest. Take your left hand, you'll thread the needle. It's just going to go through that little space, that opening there. And then use both hands to hold on to your right shin or your right hamstring. Now, this is where I start to feel sensation. For me, I feel this in my outer left thigh, closer down towards the outer hip and glute, just a bit there. Now, you can add more sensation by drawing both legs closer to self, okay? But if you need less sensation, maybe send the legs away from you, or even release the right leg and set that right foot back down onto the floor. Now, if your block is handy and you can actually reach, you can actually set the block down out in front of you and actually put your foot on it. It's a little bit more relaxed and supported. If you can see me, I've got my heel on one of my blocks. Okay, so I don't have to hold on to the leg, and it just softened up the pose a little bit. Okay, so that's just ways you can really put those props into use. Let's just take 3 more breaths. This is one of our hip openers today. When we're complete, we're just going to set the right foot back down onto the ground. Go ahead and uncross the legs. Plant both feet into the mat, knees can stay bent. And just allow the body just to come back to neutral. Just a breath or two before we do the other side. And when you're ready, same thing, we'll cross right ankle over left thigh and being sure the right knee is pointing out towards the left side of the room. Check in with your body just to see if you do have sensation here. Even if you don't have a whole lot, but maybe just minimal sensation and you want to stay here, then stay here. If you need or want more, lift the left foot, draw the legs toward yourself, use your right hand and thread the needle right there, holding on to left shin or left hamstring. Maybe a breath or two. If it's too much sensation, go ahead and release it, soften it up. Bring the left foot back down to the mat, or bring that a block in and rest your left heel or left foot on the block just to reduce the sensation. This is all about paying attention to your body, the sensations that are arising, even reacting and responding to those sensations, okay, in an appropriate way. If it means, oh, I think I need to rest, then rest. Oh, I think I need to relax here, then relax. Anytime you feel complete after holding a pose, okay, go ahead and come out of the posture. Okay, let's take one more breath in and out together. And then we can release, carefully setting the left foot onto the mat, uncross the legs, plant both feet, pause, relax, take a breath. Now, a safe way to rise back up to seated rather than trying to rock yourself up, which can create kind of a jerking sensation. It may not feel great on your back or hips. Just roll to one side as you're able. Press your hands into the floor to lift. You can do it that way too. Okay, so come up to seated. Let's do boat pose, something very minimal, but still activates the core. So I like to send the heels forward a little bit, flex the feet, activate the feet, which then activates the legs. We have a bend in the knees, hold on to that bend and use that as like handlebars to lift yourself nice and tall. That's an in breath, breath rising up to lungs, exhale, engage belly, keeping that strong sensation in the body and lean back just a little bit. See how I'm angled? So just come to an angled posture. And this is it. Just stay just like this. You don't have to go any further. All you have to do is breathe. Inhale for that lift, like you're trying to get up off the ground, like you're lifting out of your seat. Then exhale, draw belly in. Actually, it's not just the belly, it's kind of across the whole lower section of the ab body right there. Very strong. 3 more breaths as you're able. All right, we're going to rise back up. You can kind of relax there for a second. Let's get back onto our hands and knees. So you might lean to one side, carefully get the legs back behind you, return to hands and knees. Let's just go through another flow. All right, so hands and knees, and then step hands forward, spread out your fingers. Good base, press palms into the ground, strong arms, tuck your toes. Inhale, cow, so look up, a little arched back. Exhale, round into cat. Hold cat, lift knees, lift hips, downward facing dog. Here we go. Inhale, extend right leg up behind you. It doesn't have to lift high, just reach back through your toes. Exhale, bend your right knee, bring it in underneath you towards chest. If you can, get the foot closer to the hand. If not, do the same variation we did earlier. Once you're there, shift the weight back, weights off the hands. Get hands up to your thigh. Push into the thigh to lift and extend your spine at this angle, 45 degrees. Anchor the left heel. Feel that little press. You might feel that in your calf. It's a nice calf stretch. Arms out to the side and up into the air as you come perpendicular to the ground. Inhale as you do so. Exhale, deepen the lunge. We're not going to stay here long. Inhale, lift a little, pivot left heel to the floor as you exhale, opening sideways, arms out to the side. Warrior two. Side angle again, reaching forward, angled upper body, rotate your arms. Once again, we'll hold maybe 2 or 3 breaths right here. I like to brace my hand against the thigh and feel like I'm actually moving it, okay, towards the wall on my right side there. It just keeps it open. All right, that's about 3 breaths. We're going to inhale. Exhale, turn carefully towards the ground, folding slowly. Plant the hands, lift the heel behind you. Press hands firmly into the ground, even more. Slide right foot back, plank. Bend knees, hips to sky, downward facing. Slight tiptoe forward if you need to, just to adjust your feet, maybe even your hands. Inhale, extend left leg up behind you, straight line. Exhale, bend your left knee. Bring it in underneath you, shifting forward. Set foot down nearer the hand if you can, or use that other variation. Shift the weight back when you're ready. If you're slightly behind me, that's okay. Rise up to fingertips, hands to thigh. You don't have to rush this. Just break it down so you're safely moving. Angled upper body, straight torso, right heel pushing back. Feel the calf muscle there. Then extend arms out to the side and up into the air. High lunge. Hold for a second. Don't forget to keep that good angled or anchoring effect behind you. Inhale, lift a little. Exhale, pivot right heel to the floor, turning sideways. Arms to parallel. Check in with alignment and then side angle pose. Reaching forward, rotate your arms. Same thing, maybe about 3 breaths. Left hand just guiding the left knee and thigh towards the left side of the room. Meanwhile, right hand reaching into the air. And that's what actually kind of creates that opening in the inner thigh. All right, let's move, breathing in. And our exhale to carefully turn towards the floor, bending, hands on the ground, plant the hands, rise up on tiptoes behind you. Runner's lunge, slide left foot back, plank, hold. Maybe one more breath, good energy and strength, and then we'll set knees onto the ground. Sit back briefly in hero. We're going to take a full seat, so go ahead and sit off to the side, legs around to the front. Okay, we're going to keep the legs straight out front this time. And here, I'm gonna sit on my blanket. And as I talked earlier about where to sit on the blanket, you can sit right up on top. If you just need that cushioning, great, then do that. For me, because for some people actually, sometimes like sitting like this, especially on a floor with the legs extended, you might kind of get this roundedness in the back and you can't sit up. It's a pelvic thing, okay? And so what you might need is a little tilt in the pelvis, but you might need an assist. And that's why you can have a blanket that's folded just right, sit on the edge of it so that the pelvis does this natural boom tip. For me, it puts a natural arch in my low back. And it allows me to sit up taller, okay? And then the legs extended. Now, because I'm sitting up on something, you can keep the knees bent. Either put some cushions like soft pillows or even blocks underneath your knees. Now, we're not going to stay here very long. I'm going to change this. But I just wanted to give you some ways that you can sit comfortably in this posture. Alrighty. So we're going to do Janu Shirshasana, which just means head to knee pose, okay? And this is one of those postures that does many things at the same time. So I'm going to bend the left knee, bringing the left foot to the inner right thigh. I'm just going to adjust myself on my blanket there, okay? So we got this angled leg. So just like cobbler's pose, if bringing the left foot to inner thigh is too much of a bend in the left knee, then slide the foot down. So maybe it's closer to the knee or even your calf, so it doesn't feel too bound up in your left knee. And you can see here, there's some space between me and the floor. That's when you want to bring in a block again, so it rests, okay? So there we are, sitting on a blanket, block is propping the leg. And because of the angled leg, this is a hip opener, but we're also going to get a hamstring stretch. So maybe just let's do this, just having hands either like by your side, maybe on your fingertips, push into the ground to help you lift up nice and tall. That's an in breath. Exhale, start to hinge forward, again, leading with heart and chin out towards your toes here. And you're going to start to feel a stretch in the hamstring of that extended leg. Okay. And again, you don't have to go very far. Just use your hands to kind of support you. I have one in front, one in back, just help to support my body in this position. Now, the pose name is head to knee pose, but it doesn't mean you absolutely have to bring your head all the way down to your knee. I like to think that this is a sensation of sending your heart out towards your toes. That way the back stays long. But if you do happen to go a little lower, feel free to bend this right knee. I'm going to bring this block back in to protect that bent knee and even allow your back to round. You might even bring your hands out front. Okay, so lots of ways to be in this pose. Again, it's about listening to your body, what you need and what feels right. Because today it'll feel one way, but another day it'll feel completely different, or you'll need something completely different. I'm going to hold this pose for a few more breaths. Again, a nice multifaceted posture. A hip opener because of the one bent knee, a hamstring stretch because of the extended leg, and because we're folded and if your back happens to be rounded, create some nice flexion or stretch quality in your back body. All right, 3 more breaths. All right, if your back is rounded and your head is dipped downward, just lift your chin, look out towards your foot. If your hands are out in front of you, just use your hands pressing into the ground to slowly Roll your back up. Okay, roll yourself back up until you're nice and tall, lifting the chin, looking out in front here. All righty. Let's remove our props just for a moment here so we can re-extend both legs just to get some alignment back in the whole body. So basically just a modified staff pose here. And we'll get set up for the other side. So Janu Shirshasana. Janu is the Sanskrit name for knee. Shirsha is the Sanskrit name for head. Okay, so Janu Shirshasana. We're going to bend the right knee, bringing right foot to inner thigh. Once again, check in with the right knee. If that's too tight on the knee joint, slide the foot down a little bit. If this knee is high, like mine is at the moment, use a block or pillow so it can rest right there. You might even flex this left foot. If it goes relaxed eventually, that's okay too. All right, maybe hands by your side or slightly behind you so you can press into the ground to sit up as tall as can be. Exhale, pull belly in. Lead with your heart and chin. Look at your toes or feel like your heart is reaching out towards your toes, hinging forward slightly. Notice what's happening in the hamstring. Maybe you're feeling this in the inner right thigh as well. Hold for a moment so your body can get used to this. Feel free to go a little lower, a little deeper, but in very small increments. Take your time. If you go lower, feel free to round your back. Again, you can bend this left knee, even place some cushioning underneath it if you need support. You might have one hand in front, one hand in back, something like this. This is a nice way to kind of control and support your body. But if you do decide to go a little lower, you might want to bring both hands out in front. I'm already feeling a little tightness in my right knee. I've been having some issues with my right knee, so I'm just going to soften that up a little bit just by sliding my right foot down, and that took the pressure away. Notice what you're feeling. Hip opener, hamstring stretch. And if you allowed your back to round, noticing sensation there. And if you're able to just hold this, be in complete stillness, then you can bring your awareness back to your breath. Holding for a little bit longer. Three more breaths. If your left foot went relaxed, that's okay. All right, let's get ready to move. Take your time, move in slow motion. If your back is rounded and your head is dropped, just lift your head a little bit like you're looking out in front of you. You don't have to lift it too high. Press hands into the floor to help lift yourself back up. Your back might still be rounded. That's okay. You can just kind of roll your way back up. Your head will be the last part to lift right there. And then we can remove our props, extend the legs, come back to neutral here in staff pose. Hands can just rest on the legs or on the floor. Couple breaths. So that's really all of our postures for today. All right, let's move it to our closing practice. So we're going to lie down. Lying down on your back with knees bent. Have your blocks here nearby, even a blanket if you need some softness for your head. Maybe a block on either side of you. First, just come to stillness, kind of this restful position so your back can relax. All right, we're going to press feet into the ground, lifting hips into the air. Once again, slide your blocks underneath you. Just a brief moment in supported bridge pose. A brief moment really is a way to just kind of get settled in because you might need to adjust the blocks underneath you, your feet on your mat, even your upper body. Because you can bend your elbows at 90 degrees, pressing the arms into the floor for a little extra stabilization. From here, as you're able, I'm just going to put this in as an option. You can extend both legs into the air. You can even do this one at a time. Do one leg up while the other foot stays on the ground. Hold that for several breaths and then switch. So this is just taking the place of something like shoulder stand in a different style of yoga practice. Here we like to keep things well supported. So we're on the blocks, legs extended, keeps the neck spacious and safe. And you can even throw in a little movement. I like to do a little bicycle pedaling here just to get into the joints a little bit of the hips and knees and ankles. So you might even circle the ankles. Any other stretches that you might like here? Or any other movement? And then to finish, just bend the knees, carefully bring the feet back down to the ground. Press feet into the ground to lift your hips so you can remove your blocks. Come back down, just set your hips onto the floor. And then bring the legs together so we can go to one more cobbler's pose or bound angle, this time just lying down. So let's let your knees open out to either side of the room while the soles of your feet touch. Again, if you've got those blocks handy, just place them underneath the knees so they're supported. This is also nice just in case the legs kind of drop open and it pulls and stretches too forcefully in the inner thighs, because sometimes that can be uncomfortable. This way the legs can rest on the blocks here so you don't feel overstretched. Very relaxing too. So I'm going to give you an option so you can just stay just like this for the remainder of the class. Okay? Or if you want to add any other movement or stretch or yoga position, feel free to do so. Take another 3 to 5 breaths here in reclining cobbler's pose. And as you're taking those breaths, you can decide what you would like to do next. So again, just feel free to stay here or add another pose. What I'm going to do is add a twist. So I'm going to bring the knees together. You can certainly do what I'm doing if you want. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way, hug knees into chest, taking both knees off to the left side. I actually want to use my blocks again because I don't want to over rotate. So I'm going to take the block so it just adds as a nice stopper for the legs. And then extend the right arm off to the right side. Now you can be doing happy baby pose, maybe you're still in reclining cobbler's pose, or maybe you're joining me in this twist. Maybe just 2 more breaths on this first side. Taking your time to come back to center. You can let the feet come to the ground or just hug the knees in, whatever feels best. And then same thing for the other side. I'm going to use the block again, just to support the leg so I don't feel like I'm over rotating. And again, wherever you are, deep breaths. And just 2 more breaths here. And again, returning to center, you can give yourself another hug. And then just set feet onto the mat, pause, relax. And then your final position. This could be Shavasana, or corpse pose for your resting posture, or any other restorative position. This is where you might want to use your blankets or your bolster. I think I'm going to use my bolster this time by placing it underneath my legs, which puts a little bend in the knees, and that feels nice. And just arms down by my side. So whatever feels good, you can elevate the legs. Now, another prop you might have handy, it could be like a chair or your sofa, where you would actually elevate your legs on the seat of the sofa or chair. That's always a nice therapeutic place to be too. Just an opportunity to just soften, relax, rejuvenate. Whatever resting position you're in, feel free to stay there as long as you need to. Even when I'm finishing up the practice and closing us out, you can stay just like this. Just stay completely relaxed. No need to move. Just stay with your breath. And whenever you are ready to move, rather than moving right away and too quickly, start with a few breaths, maybe 5 slow breaths. Feel this rejuvenation flow through you. Feel movement return to your body. And then after your 5th breath, moving in slow motion. Perhaps rolling onto one side of your body to a nurturing pose. And then guiding your way up slowly into a seated position. Go back to using your props, maybe a blanket or a block or pillow to sit on if you'd like. If you're still in Shavasana, please stay there if that feels best. If you happen to be in seated, just feel that nice re-extension of spine, arms relaxed down by your side. Take a couple of breaths in and out, just deep cleansing breaths. Maybe with our hip openers, it brought even more opening to the rest of your body. Just going to add one more movement, very simple to complete. We'll inhale, extend arms out and up into the air. And exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Once again, just come to stillness. Take another breath or two. And as we come to the close of this portion of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.